chat. It's 5 a.m. Why is V up at 5 a.m.? Because V has a young son, and the son cries during the night, and so I have no choice but to be up at 5 a.m. And hopefully I'll go to bed after the stream. But in the meantime, I can definitely try to entertain you guys, because it's probably not 5 a.m. where you're at. I think a lot of you guys are from the United States, right? Like, it's probably 6, 7 p.m. Do I get it correctly? So anyway, I woke up to a lot of happenings. The funniest thing is that I have a backer, got a subscriber, and he's a drone enthusiast. He enjoys flying drones. Unfortunately, um, he's got Karens in his neighborhood, and so they contacted me a couple of days ago, showing me that the Karen is really upset that he's flying a drone, right? Which is, I kind of can see both parts, but like not really. Like if you see a neighbor flying a drone and from the distance it looks like it's on top of your house, or at least it can see in your yard, like you're going to get annoyed, right? You're going to be like, what? Why are they doing this? Are they spying on me? Do they want to see what I have in my backyard? So it's going to trigger the Karens. The thing with the Karens is that they like to spy on you. They don't like it when you spy on them. But the situation got even worse, to the point of hysterical, with the New Jersey drones, right? And a lot of different subscribers of mine that are in the same situation, like they like to fly drones, are now encountering people that are absolutely unhinged. And this is due to the moral panic with the drones in New Jersey. Like, why are they flying Lindor, so they're watching the news, and they're reading all sorts of conspiracy shit, and then they're thinking that, oh well, drones are bad, they're evil, and so they're going to go after it is what it is. But my advice is, if you're a drone enthusiast, just lay it low a little bit. Just calm down. Not for too much, just a little bit. Yeah, my take with the drones in the United States is that there is absolutely no way that the government doesn't know where they are, right? And what's interesting is that a senator came out and said that he believes the drones are from Iran, and there is a mothership in the Atlantic sending these drones. And immediately the Pentagon was like, nope, that's false. And I'm like, wait, hold on a little bit. How would you be able to tell that unless it's your drones? Like in a normal situation, you would probably want to interview the guy first. Like you would be like, okay, well, who is your sources? Where did you heard that from? And then you go up the chain, and it's like, well, who told you? Like, well, how do you know it's Iran? Does it make Jewish people uncomfortable as they're going under the drones? Like, how do you know it's Iran? And they didn't do that, right? Instead, they're like, no, this is not the case. This is misinformation. It's like, well, it's misinformation because they're your drones then. Or at least you know where they're from. And so there are a couple of theories. There was a guy that posted a picture of the drone and said that it's a drone that's supposed to detect radioactive energy. And there may be a soot of radioactive material missing. It's like that's what people are suggesting, because the government is silent. And if the government is silent or doesn't provide accurate information to the public, then the public will start to speculate, aka the conspiracy. Okay. The people of New Jersey have suffered enough. They're in New Jersey, after all. Yeah. I personally think it's a military exercise. That's what I think it is. I want to see... they probably want to see, all right, in the event where we would be looking for nuclear material, how long would it take? How would the public react to it? Can we maintain secrecy? Like, can we do it at the federal level without the states knowing? Like maybe that's why they're doing... The reason that I know it's actually operated by the United States, I mean, it's not a definitive reason, but it's another one. They got like little lights on them, and those little lights are to help with air travel, right? So like someone doesn't run into a drone, like someone flying a low altitude plane or a emergency helicopter or something like that. so that they don't run into a drone. And why would they do that if it was a foreign government? Like, they wouldn't care, right? And so another proof that the people running the drones are probably American. On the bright side, they aren't suffering like California. Yeah, left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing. This was a joke in communist times. It was we are so many that even we don't know who we are anymore. The Securitate would say it, like the Secret Service, right? Like, there's so many of us that even we don't know our numbers and who we are anymore. Dr. Grande on YouTube has a really good take on the drones. No, I genuinely think that it is an experiment, like a social experiment. Like, part of it is to see how the public react. Like, can the public do anything against them? Will the public like try to disable them? Like what is the reaction of the authorities at the state level? Like, think about it this way, right? Like, if you're in the Pentagon and you genuinely want to see like what is our national defense like, right? Like, let's put the scenario where someone tries to sneak a dirty bomb in the US. How long would it take for us to find it? How would the people react? Can we maintain order and not crash the stock market? Can we keep people calm, right? And this is what they're trying to do, I think. All right. What do we talk about today? Let's see. There's a couple of interesting news. CNN done goofed again. I gotta say, everything that came out of Syria, I just stopped watching it. It was like making people hysterical. And some of the shit that I was seeing was so far-fetched and so outlandish. But you had people at the time like Kraut and T trying to defend it. Like, again, here's an example of something that came out from Syria. And I remember, like, this was a big thing back in the day. So there was a gas attack, and CNN had pictures of it, right? Now, despite the fact that you're not supposed to show dead kids on YouTube, for some reason that CNN video is monetized. Like, no, seriously, think about it. If I see a car crash outside and there's a person dying, and I'm, calling 911, and then I'm recording myself even doing first aid or whatever, right? And I'm not editorializing or anything. Like, I'm not the one causing the accident. I'm just reporting like a news anchor. And it's like, oh, right in front of my house. Jesus, look at this, right? If I upload that on YouTube, I get my channel banned. Like, you're not allowed to show that, right? No matter how you're trying to frame it. But for some reason, you have like this terrorist attack, and CNN makes a video, which is still uploaded on YouTube now, and that's there. And it's like, okay, that's interesting. The second thing is like, only kids. I'm saying, my God, like the thing in Syria, every time you throw a stone in the air and it lands, like 20 kids are injured. And it's like, I'm not saying it's impossible, but statistically speaking, like realistically speaking, it seems that literally everywhere is like littered with schools and churches. Well, not churches, mosques. Every single time a bomb goes off, it's like 25 kids. It's like, like you see it once and you're like, okay, and you see it twice and you're like, all right, and you see it 3 times and you're like, another, and then like the 4th time you're like, okay, come on. Like it begs a little bit of suspension of disbelief. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but it's like really all the videos. So like gas attack, only kids. Okay. They're going there without any hazmat, without any protection, and I'm like, the gas that you're claiming caused this would irritate the skin. Like, you wouldn't. What are they doing? Like, nothing makes sense, right? And so at this point I was like, first of all, in order for journalists to even be in those areas, you gotta get permissions from the rebels, right? Because it's a civil war. And so in order to be in a hot zone, this is true for almost any place on Earth, in order to be in a war zone, like, you need permission from the people that are de facto occupying that zone. Like, if you go in Ukraine right now and you're like a war journalist or something, if you're on the Ukrainian side, you need permission from the Ukrainian government. If you're on the Russian side, you need permission on the Russians. It doesn't really matter who owns the city or the village. It matters like where the military is at, because otherwise they shoot you or they capture you and they interrogate you and they consider you a foreign agent. And so If you go in Ukraine right now, and this is true again, like for every single war zone on Earth, if you go there, they will not let you say negative things or spit it in a way that it makes them look bad. Neither the Ukrainians nor the Russians, right? Like if you go on the Russian side and you start making pro-Ukrainian propaganda, like what do you think will happen? You get Johnny Somali doing North Korean propaganda in South Korea. And so if you see any type of report coming from an area, you gotta wonder, it's like, all right, well, how did the journalists get there? And you can be sure that there may be a little bit of bias, right? Because like they wouldn't allow like objective reporting. No, like they want 100% reporting in their favor. And so what you understand is that there is this thing called the fog of war. And the fog of war is literally this. It's like you don't know what's happening as a civilian. Why? Because you can't go there and fact check. Like I can't actually go there and see with my own eyes, was there a gas attack? Can I ask the people around, so what happened yesterday, right? You can't do that. So you got to take everything that the media shows you, kind of like religion. You got to have faith. Like you got to have faith that the source that you have been shown is trustworthy. And this was like the last thing that CNN was showing. And it's like, oh, come on. There's no fucking way, right? So they're going into this jail. And the lady reporter is the first one that walks in. Because again, you gotta remember something. Like when you're a streamer, you notice things. You notice things because you're streaming. And so the person with the camera that walked in is an actual human being. This is not a movie, right? Like there is a person behind the camera. So you have like the person walking in and there's no reaction. And then the guy walks up and instead of looking at the camera, he looks at other people. It's like, okay. And then like the whole thing doesn't make sense. Like you have this guy, allegedly he never saw sunlight. And when he goes outside, he doesn't blink or show that he's blinded by the sun. And the first thing they do is like they interview him. And I'm thinking like, in what world are journalists this cruel? Like I know that journalists have like a certain level of, I mean, they're called vultures for a reason, right? Because the building is burning and there's three types of people that are going there. There's the people that actually own apartments in the building and they're going there to try and save their property. There's the firefighters and the ambulance crew. And then there's the journalists, and the journalists aren't there to help. They're there to film, right? So there is like a certain level of cruelty that is required to be in the profession of a journalist. But even they aren't this cruel. Like you get the person that allegedly was starved in a Syrian prison, and the first thing you do is you interview them. Like, my God, just allow the man to get his bearings. Allow the man to sit down a little bit, try to contact his family, try to see what's happening, get informed about the situation. And then you can interview them. Like, I'm not saying not to interview them, of course, but like the way it was conducted, it was very bizarre. And there were people arguing with me on Twitter. Again, like this is the reality, that there are people that are saying, no, V, no, you're wrong, you're spreading this. And I can understand that you disagree with me. Like, I get that. But why are you so 100% sure? Like, why are you taking everything CNN is showing to you with such faith, with such gospel, to the point where you're acting as if you are there personally, as if you are in the prison with this guy, as if like you got tortured together and you're just outraged that I don't believe the story? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you like that? This is what I don't get. And then it turns out that this is a person that was a notorious torturer, right? So like he was notorious Assad regime torturer, lieutenant in the Syrian Air Force and intelligence. I mean, you can't make this shit up. And it was like less than a week. Less than a week. And it's like every single time there's a war, I stop watching the TV. Even with the conflict in Ukraine, I don't watch it. And it's not because it's like, well, it's Ukrainians or anything like that. It's just like, it's the fog of war. It's just like any single conflict is kinetic, but it's also propaganda. Like each side wants to raise morale for their soldiers. Like you're not going to have a side that talks about casualties and shit in staggering numbers, right? So what you can do is usually you look at how people react Like for instance, I knew the war will drag on because Russia comes with a peace deal, and Ukraine goes no. And this tells me it's like, okay, so they think that they have sufficient ammunition and sufficient manpower to be able to say no and keep on fighting. So the war is not going to be over anytime soon, right? So like you make these inquiries, right? Like you don't read the headlines. You just look at how people react. And then you can see, oh, the Russians are pulling troops away from this place. It's like, okay, so it must be going bad for them there. Or you can say, when both sides agree to something, right? Like the Russians say, all right, we lost like 20 tanks, and the Ukrainians go, we destroyed 20 tanks. It's like, okay, well, if both sides agree, then chances are 20 tanks have been destroyed, right? So like this is how you can interpret a conflict without actually reading the newspapers or the editorial headlines. Imagine being like, I know the guy, we tortured people together. Sadly, we won't know anything until the fog of war cleans up for good. Even then, you probably still won't know, right? Because when it's about international politics, like one country will say one thing and the other country will say another. Like, who do you believe, right? There are people in China, for instance, that believe that the Tiananmen massacre genuinely didn't happen and the West is evil and is lying about it. And how can you convince them, right? Like, I don't think we have recordings of it, right? Like, there's no footage of the massacre. And so if you're in America, you're going to believe the West because, well, that's our reality, right? Like, if we don't believe the West, it means that we're constantly being lied. And if you're in China, you'll believe the government because, well, that's the reality. It's like your government. And so, like the fact that you can't actually go there and see what happened and ask questions, and there's like no way for you to personally verify it, then the only other solution is to trust the source. And people from China trust China, and people from the West trust the West. And this is the international politics every single time, with almost everything. So it doesn't surprise me. No, even after the conflict clears up, we probably still won't know what happened. Most facts are lost to history. By the way, when you go even further than that, like I wonder how much medieval history is true because censorship is not something new, right? And back then in medieval history, you had like the king's scribe, and it was like a guy that stood in court and kept writing shit. So like, how do we know that the king didn't tell him what to write, or didn't ask him not to write certain things? Like here's an example. We know that people in medieval time had warts and they had like facial disfigurements and other things, and yet every single painting with a king looks flawless, right? And why is that? Well, because they told the artist not to include the imperfections, right? Like if the king had a big mold on his lip, like he could just ask the artist not to include it, kind of like the medieval version of photoshopping. And that happened a lot. And so everything we know about medieval history is skewed if you're thinking about it, because the people owning the press, which is the scribe, was the king, and the king wouldn't like it if the scribe started writing the truth and then started writing shit about him. Yeah, the winners do write the history. Exactly. Henry V with the profile portrait because his face was destroyed by an arrow. Yeah, stuff like that, I think like now we actually notice the opposite, where you have where you have leaders like making a portrait that actually makes them look awful. Like seriously, this let me put it this way, right? Imagine you have a time machine and you can go you can travel back in time, and you can show this to a medieval person, and you'll say like, this is the king of England. There is no fucking way that they won't view this as demonic. It's not just the red, it's not just like the colors, but like his skin is gray. It's like a Warhammer 40k character. It's like, look, it's almost like he's got like this grayish skin, almost like it's decomposing. It's so, and my favorite take was that the artist said, I added a butterfly that sits. No one fucking sees the butterfly, dude. No one fucking sees the butterfly. And there are people saying that if you unite the picture, like if you put it upside down and you put it next to another, it looks like the horns of a devil. My take is that he hired an artist that legitimately hates him. Like he commissioned an artist that genuinely hates him, and so like they wanted to troll him. I can't explain it any other way. It's like the worst type of picture, the most uncharitable type of picture that you could take. The thing is, like, usually the British media avoid criticizing their royals, right? Like they hold their royals in high regard, with exceptions, right? But like usually the mainstream media like will not criticize stuff like paintings and like personal attacks. They will criticize like the royal house. They will criticize the fact that they're not getting taxed. Like they will criticize that, but they won't like actually criticize the person. They won't do ad hominems. With this picture, I even saw like some people going, "It's like, no." What were they thinking? And if you look on Wikipedia, you can see like why Wikipedia is the worst website ever. It's because like they don't even mention this. It's like, how can you not mention? Like, it's so fucking obvious. Like anyone looking at this would be like, that picture is vile. So they're just saying, oh, it was commissioned by blah blah blah. A nice mix of the traditional and contemporary. And this is like, this is like legitimately the state of propaganda, right? And I will tell you why modern propaganda is filled with shit. So we're looking at this painting, right? Like it's literally in front of our eyes. Like we can actually see, and almost anyone that looks at it will say, well, wow, this is a bad painting. Like this is very uncharitable of the king. Like why would they commission such a painting? What was the artist thinking, right? Like this is what goes through our mind. And this is like transcending barriers and culture. Like I showed it to people from all over the world. I showed it to people from Africa. I showed it to people from Canada, from Eastern Europe. Like everyone was saying, no, this is a bad painting, right? And then you have like the propaganda, which tells you above his right shoulder is a butterfly symbolizing his ascension. A vibrant painting. You got him. It was displayed, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, how the fuck? Like, are we looking at the same thing? Is this a vibrant painting? Absolutely not. It looks fucking demonic, right? Like, this is what my eyes are telling me. And then they will say, oh, this is because of social media. Because of social media, you think it's demonic. Because you're, Russian interference or whatever bullshit. And it's like, no, you guys are writing stuff that literally no one is saying. Like, I talk to random people. I talk to cab drivers. I talk to hairstylists. I talk to waiters. No one is saying that this is rich vibe. Like, you guys are completely detached. So you're generally telling me, like, what my eyes aren't seeing. So I'm going to stop reading you, and I'm going to start listening more to the people that make sense, which is like literally the cab driver makes more sense than you. The blood of colonialism, is that what it is? See, like, that's the thing though. If you find a person that used to have a descendant that was an Aztec, and like that they have like family that comes from the Aztec Empire, would it be fair to say that, oh, the blood of human sacrifices are on your hand? And it's like, well, the person didn't do jack shit, like he wasn't there, he wasn't taking slaves. Maybe he would, like, if the Aztec Empire still existed today in some way and they were still powerful, like, maybe, but I do have to trust the experts, yes. Looks like a PC picture for Vampire the Masquerade. You know what? I think it's even more dark than Vampire the Masquerade. I don't think Vampire Masquerade is such a dark setting. It looks more like 40K. like Vampire the Masquerade is indeed a setting that has like dark themes, but it's not that dark. Like, you know, it's not even Sins of the Great Grandfather. Didn't the British Empire make a loan in order to end slavery, and they were still paying for it up until a couple of years ago? Yeah, the sins of colonialism. Like, we're so sorry that the human sacrifices must stop. He does look like a Dark Souls character. Yeah. Um, what did I want to talk about today? Ciri. We talk about Ciri. Yeah. I really hate the take which says that, oh, if it's a female character, then it's woke, right? And you have like a lot of people on the other side saying this. Oh, so if it's like a female character, it's woke. And I'm thinking like, no, it's a little bit beyond that though. It's not that it's a female character and so it's woke. To be Ciri, and I argued with someone over this. To be Ciri, in the video game at least, from the promotional material that I saw so far, she does look like Geralt with a wig. Like, maybe in the game they will actually show that this is not the case, and they will have like a proper story. And if that's the case, you know, I'm waiting for them to impress me. But so far, from what I've seen, she looks like Geralt with a wig. And the reason that she looks like Geralt with a wig, it feels like it's on an assembly line. It's like, well, this is required in 2025. You gotta have like more women, right? Now, the question is like, is she a witcher? Does it upset me? The answer is no. I don't give a shit that she's a witcher. Like, it's fine. She can be a witcher. I don't fucking care. I know some people are upset about it, but I personally am not. Like, what do you want me to do? To lie to you? However, I do understand the people that are upset. I genuinely do. Because being like let's revert the story a little bit, right? And you can even have like lore reasons for this to happen. Let's say that in my story, I'm the one making Witcher 4 now, and Geralt is mortally wounded, and Ciri does a blood transfusion and some magic in order to heal him up. And so now he's got elven blood. He's got like the ability to perform magic, and he stops being a witcher. He doesn't care about witching anymore because like he's capable of creating more powerful spells. In fact, like, no, you know what? He becomes like one of the most powerful spellcasters in the world now. It's like it's really like that. And so he goes into the sorcerer lounge, and he starts influencing the witches, and he porks all of them. He just fucks all of those witches, like literally just sex. And they're all moist after him. Like, he dominates them all with the power of his charisma and his witcher cock. And then he starts deciding to control the world and to influence these sorcerers in order to do his bidding. And again, it's not about fighting monsters anymore. The entire game is about manipulating women in order to do your bidding. You're just sitting there on the throne, legs spread, scratching your balls as these women go like, what do we need to do, Geralt? What do we need to do? And you're like, you need to go to Nilfgaard. You need to seduce the Emperor. But I like you, Geralt. If you like me, you'll seduce the Emperor. You know, like, if you make the game like that, would people complain? Like, legit question. If you make the game like that, would people complain? And if the answer is yes, they would complain. And my follow-up question is like, how would it feel if then I go into the comment section and be like, oh, the reason you're complaining is because you lack testosterone. You're just afraid of strong, powerful men. It's because you couldn't seduce the witches. You feel as if you're intimidated by Geralt. It's because you lack what Geralt has, and that makes you feel weak. Right? Now, would that be a good faith argument? No. Like, obviously, the reason they don't like it is because they expected to play the game as Geralt, the Monster Slayer. and in exchange, they ended up playing the game as something else. And so it's the same thing with the people that like Witcher, right? Like they like Geralt for who he is, and if you actually exchange the character, if you actually like make you play something else, then well, people are going to complain. And the reason they say it's woke is because when you zoom out, it's not just The Witcher that does it. It's almost every single video game that has an established character now. So we got The Last of Us, right? You don't get to play as Joel anymore. You got The Witcher is the second, and you got the Uncharted series, where also, right? And it's like pretending that if instead of Tomb Raider, they would replace her with Harrison Ford, that people would be happy with it. It's like, no, they wouldn't, right? And so why should we assume that people are happy if you're going to change the main character in this fiction? And it's plus it's the fact that most ESG games that are coming out now, they end up in colossal failures, like Forspoken and Dustborn and Concord and what else did we got last year? Like we had so many, and they all end up failing, and they're all like influenced by the same consultant. So like people are like, imagine if you have an engineer, and he goes to construct a building, and then the building falls down. It's like, well, maybe it wasn't his fault, like he was just one engineer out of many. But then he goes to another building and it also falls down. And then he goes to another one and it also collapses. So like, even if you can't pinpoint that the guy is responsible, you probably wouldn't hire him, because it's like, well, maybe he's just bad fucking juju. I don't know. Not ugly. Looks like average girl boss archetype. Yeah, it doesn't look feminine. I mean, let me show you something, right? Because the conversation is like, oh, you just want a goon. You just want a goon. As if like the idea of a heteronormative man looking at fully clothed but sexy women is something that they should be ashamed of. I don't know where this concept is coming from, but this is where we're at. Like we're in the world where we gotta pretend we're ashamed if you as a man like ladies like this. I mean, come on, right? I don't like the fact that she's bruised, but like it's part of the gameplay. But like other than that, like this is how CD Projekt Red used to make female characters back in the day. And so am I a gooner because I like them? And if the answer is yes, then it means that every single person that has an ounce of testosterone needs to start identifying as a gooner, or else I'm going to think you're gay. Like there's no other way around it. So yeah, like the choice in art style and the aesthetics is also there. Like notice how, see, this is one more thing. It's not just like how the character looks, but it's also the facial expressions, right? So Triss Merigold is like one of the most powerful characters in The Witcher. Not Vibo, but like she's definitely very powerful, right? Like she has in Witcher 3 where she throws fireballs at an incoming army, and she's like causing huge devastation and shit. But like she is in control. Like she is a good diplomat, she's a good strategist, right? But like she doesn't have the girl boss attitude, right? Like she doesn't try to portray herself as a man. She's not oozing with toxic masculinity. Same with the Yennefer. I don't know who this chick is. I don't care. But like, it's fine to have a girl boss, right? Like when you have one, it's okay. You got a girl boss. But when you have like so fucking many, when it's oozing with girl bosses, like come on. Like you're super saturating the market. Even if the girl bosses themselves were in demand and people like it and stuff, when it's literally oozing with girl bosses, you gotta wonder. It's like, okay, well, what are we doing? Can we really not create any other type of character? Like, is there no other way we can express femininity besides like making her look stoic and angry and it's like girl with a frowny face? Like, come on. CD Projekt Red was cooked when they announced their ESG goals. Okay, I will tell you something that most of you probably don't know. But if you're a company in the European Union over a certain number of employees, you are mandated by law to announce ESG goals. It's the law here, right? Like it's literally a thing. So if you're in the European Union running a game development company, you gotta announce the ESG metrics. And if you don't have like a high ESG rating, well, you open yourself for criticism, for auditing. Maybe you don't get enough loans. There's nothing I can do about it at this point. Even if the culture shifts, even if like a lot of people are against wokeness, it's coded in legislation. Like a lot of leftist politicians and Greens and stuff like that, they went out of their way in order to make this mandatory. And it's not just in the EU, in California as well. If you're in California and you have a business over 100 people or so, you need to have an HR department. And the HR department, you need to have like someone that finished a university, right? She needs to have a degree. And guess what? Almost everyone that you can find is ideologically possessed. Ciri is Jeffree Star. Changed my mind. Nightmare. Why is it that I always almost miss your super chats? I'm not doing it on purpose. I swear to God. I think you're doing it on purpose. I think you're sending it to me in such moments that I don't even know they're there. Yeah, I don't know what the solution to the European Union problem is. Because, first of all, the way the European Union propaganda works is that any criticism against the EU means that you're with the Russians. So, like, anyone that disagrees with Ursula von der Leyen is Russian. And I'm not saying that, okay, well, maybe some of them are extremists, but like literally all of them? Like, is every single criticism against the European Union coming from Russia? Every single one? And one of the most important criticisms that I have towards the European Union is the addiction to regulations. Like, they overly regulate. There's even the joke that they're regulating the size of a banana. Like every single year, there's like another truckload of papers that regulate everything. And so let's talk about sustainability, right? Like, how long until you don't really own your business anymore? Because if you're not allowed to change anything and you just like have to follow the guardrails and like everything becomes more and more tight to the point where there's only one way you can do it, well, there's no more innovation, because like you're not allowed to experiment new things, right? Because it's against the regulations. But secondly, a lot of these businesses become not profitable, right? And when you look at the GDP in the European Union and the United States, what you notice is that the GDP used to be around the same place a couple of years ago. And now the Americans are almost doubling in GDP compared to the EU. The EU is going down and the United States is going up. And so Americans don't realize how rich they are. No, seriously, like they generally don't. And Europe doesn't realize like how poor we're becoming. And the thing is, you look at most of the entrepreneurs, they're going to the United States simply because there's too many legislations here. Like, you want to start a new business, you gotta go to the United States. You can't do it here. Too many regulations. And so the question is like, how long is it sustainable and what is the solution? Because right now, let's say that Romania. Well, no one cares about Romania, but like let's assume that Romania decides to leave the EU, right? And let's assume that we just get rid of all the regulations, and we're like, you know what, drill baby drill, just go all out. You know, like we just don't care about anything anymore. Well, all right. Well, you're producing goods. Who's going to buy them? Because you can't sell them on the nations that are still in the EU. Can't trade them with Russia. So, like, what do you do, right? And this is the problem that a lot of countries have with the European Union. It's not just Romania. Like, even if France decided, right? Like, if France decided, well, actually, no, hold on. Like, some of these big countries, no. Some of these big countries can actually make this decision, right? Like France, for instance, it's got access to the ocean. It can start trading with the United States. Like, if France literally wanted to, it could be like, okay, well, we're out of the EU and we're going to have like massive deregulations, like everyone go crazy. But like, you can't really do that because of the culture of the French. Like the French are deeply ingrained into this bureaucracy as well. So like they're probably the reason why the EU is the way it is, just like the Germans. And so the question is like, what do you do? It's like if you're a country like Hungary and you're like, okay, well, I'm leaving the EU. It's like, where do you sell your shit? Yeah, Portugal could probably leave the EU, but again, in order for the EU to actually like what I think will happen. This is my take on how the EU is eventually going to collapse. It's going to keep regulating and regulating and regulating, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse for the average person, to the point where the governments will just stop listening to the EU. Like, it's going to be like, okay, well, you got to do this in your industry. And they're going to be like, fuck off. No, we're doing it our way. And then the EU is probably going to put sanctions, and the countries will be like, okay, well, fuck off. We're not paying. Or, you know, like they're stalling for time or whatever. And eventually, it's not going to disappear because nation states are leaving. It's just going to become obsolete. It's just going to be like, well, they're regulating, but no one is following the regulations. And it's not going to be like a golden era or anything. It's not going to be like countries will dial back on the regulations. Like, no, like they will maintain some, but like some of the new ones are going to be ignored, and you're going to realize that, okay, by that time, like almost every single activity, every single thing that people do is already overly regulated. The EU abolished Steam's Eurozones in 2018. Jesus. Well, one of the most annoying thing is like the GDPR, right? Like the protection of data, which like the law in itself, I understand where it's coming from and I understand why it's needed. But in order to be GDPR compliant, it's so fucking expensive if you're a big company. It's so fucking expensive. And then when you browse the internet, every single website is like, this website connects cookies. Do you want to give it cookies? Like, oh my God. Like, imagine everywhere you click on every website, accept, reject, accept, reject. It's like, God. All it will take is one bad winter without power for all of Europe because of climate change, green technology. You don't understand the mindset of the Europeans. The mindset of the Europeans is that the experts know, and the experts will save us. So just hold on a little bit longer because the experts know what they're doing. And, you know, this year was bad, but next year the experts will come in. Claymore manga did the Witcher 4 idea better, and it isn't woke. I haven't read the Claymore manga, but I believe you. Again, you know, like they will say, well, it's too early to tell. It's too early to tell. This is what I like. Like, okay, I don't think it's that early because usually when you see a trailer, it's their best foot forward, right? So like they're actually trying their best in order to get you excited about the game. And so, like, from what I've seen so far, it is concerning. Like, it follows the pattern of other games that didn't impress me. Girl boss, main character, diversity statements and initiatives. The fact that, okay, well, now the girl boss main character has, like, masculine animations and stoic features and everything like that. And so, you know, like, to me, it's an alarm sign. It's a red flag. Is it enough for me to say that the game won't sell? No. But do I have hopes for it? Let me put it this way: I was more hyped when I saw the Witcher 3 trailer than this. Like the Witcher 3 trailer really got me hyped. This one, not so much. Why make Ciri a potion drinking Witcher? Because it's Geralt with a wig. I'm pretty sure like they will have reasons and lore stuff where they can justify it. But why go in that direction is my question. Again, imagine if you make Geralt to join the Sorcerer League and he fucks all the witches there. And now the game isn't about hunting monsters. It's just like about Geralt seducing the sorcerers and telling them where to go and how to destroy other kingdoms. And, you know, like, there are lore reasons why he could do that. And you can justify through the lore. But, like, why take it in that direction? Is that what people want to play? The way to tell whether or not this is actually happening, like, the best way to point out if she is Geralt with a wig is when the game comes out, you can have a mod, and I'm pretty sure there will be, where you replace Ciri with Geralt. And if Geralt doesn't look like a flamboyant man, then it just proves my point. Lennox Faye, thank you for the $5. There were multiple references, even in the old trailer, that all Witchers die a miserable death. Having gone through the Witcher transition surgery is grim. I'm pretty sure like they will explain it. Like, this is why I said in my video, I don't care that she's a Witcher. I can see why people are upset. It's because like when they played Witcher 3, Ciri felt incredibly different than Geralt. Like her movesets, her combat, everything felt so much differently. And she felt more powerful too, because she had the Elder Blood, and you know, it felt like you're playing as a very powerful character. Here, it feels like you're playing Geralt. Now, again, maybe they will show different promotional material, and I will be wrong. Who knows? What is the difference between experts and the amateurs? Well, the experts are paid by the government. The amateurs aren't. I care because it's more breaking, just like the female custodies. It's a little bit different, I suppose. Like in Warhammer 40k, the lore outright states that no woman can become a space marine. While here it lives a little bit wiggle room. Like, I guess you can force it, but like, again, why go there? Like, what is the purpose of forcing it? Right? That's my take. Like, there's no reason to force it besides the fact that it's like a checkbox. In fact, it would probably be... Well, I guess, you know, maybe it's because the title is The Witcher, and they really want you to play as a woman, right? But it would have been cool if you're playing Ciri and she has, like, completely different abilities, don't you think? Like if Ciri plays differently than Geralt... Like in Witcher 3. In Witcher 3, she played differently. But, like, what if you make a game where she's even more different? Where she focuses a lot on stealth and she focuses a lot on illusion magic and shit like that. The lore states that in Witcher, for the most part, most men die going through the trial. I don't know why she gets the trial. Like, maybe it's forced upon her, or maybe she's suffering from some illness, and the only way to cure her is to give her the trial. Like there's ways you can write it where Geralt does it, right? Maybe there's a new conjunction of stars, a new alignment, and new monsters are coming, and like this is the only way for them to survive. I don't fucking know. I'm pretty sure like they will explain it in some way that it's at least bringing some satisfaction, but like the problem that most people are having is like, why go in this direction, right? Like, imagine if you have Lara Croft, and in the new Tomb Raider you have a guy instead of her, and you can make lore reasons why you're playing as a guy. You know, it can be her son, it can be maybe her boyfriend, like whatever the fuck, you know, like you can write anything, and you can write that in the next Tomb Raider, the main character is a guy. But like, why would you do that? What's the point? They will find the dumbest way to explain it. No matter what explanations they give, it's going to upset people. My take is like, if you genuinely wanted a female character, why couldn't Ciri be Ciri? You know, without her having to get the trial of the grasses. Like, why couldn't she just be like an average female character that's have like different abilities, and that would have even been cooler, you know. Let me think if I can give an example of this. I may be wrong. What wasn't it? No, it wasn't Bayonetta. Fuck. I'm trying to think of a game where you have like two characters and they got like different. Oh yeah. Okay, I know. Um, the Devil May Cry series, the last one, right? You can play with Dante and you can also play with Virgil. And despite the fact that they're doing similar things, killing zombies and scoring combos and shit, they feel different. Like, they actually feel like different characters. And that's what's fucking cool. And so this is why I don't understand. Like, why does she have to be a Witcher? Why can't she just be her own thing? Also, Chris, in The Last of the Elder Blood, to be a Witcher, it means she is not sterile. The end of the Elder Blood. Yeah. The game will sell because of the name? It really depends. It depends what other games are coming when it's releasing. It depends on how good the gameplay is. Because, like, again, if the gameplay is solid, most people are willing to ignore this and they just mash the escape button. They generally don't care. I know that my model is down. My phone battery just died. Because bad art is supposed to have their own thing. I think this is why most people are upset, right? This is like, we just finally got to the core of the reason. In 2016, there was a movement, very outspoken, very loud. Like, maybe some of the new people are too young to remember. But the entire movement was basically about how important role models are, and how it's important that women get to see themselves, right? And so we did 50-50 representation, blah, blah, blah. And you know, that's fine. But when you look at the media, and you notice that there are, like, it's one thing when you make something new, right? Like, you make a Stellar Blade, no one complains, right? Even with Dustborn, like, people weren't complaining because, I mean, people were making fun of it because it's dumb and stupid, but, like, people didn't really look at it as if they're upset. It's like, go make your Dustborn, you know, that's fine. But when you do it with established IPs, like, people generally got upset when they removed what's his name? Oh yeah, Joel from The Last of Us. Okay, so we can't get Joel. We don't get Nathan Drake from Uncharted. We don't get Geralt. Like, every single, like, male character in IP, like, the only one that's left is Kratos, and even Kratos has been watered down. And so the question has to be, why are they doing this? Is this like what are the odds that all these companies that are competing with each other all of a sudden are removing male characters? And if you want to see what they're doing, watch trailers from 2014 and compare them to trailers from today. Like, the trailers from 2014, when they show guys, it's like filled with stoicism, masculinity, you know, like men in the shadows. They try to save the world, and it's like there's a secret cabal, and you gotta stop it, like that. And now when they present the male character, it's all about the feelings. You see Kratos, you know, like, sitting there and feeling vulnerable, and it's like, I mean, I guess it's not that you can't have a character like that, but why is it that it's all the characters like that, right? Like, why is it that you don't have positive male characters? And if you want to see a positive male character, you play Nikke, and you have, like, Commander Anderson, and there's, like, actual male characters that, you know, they have flaws, but they're competent at what they're doing. Like in Western entertainment, if you play Horizon Zero Dawn, it went to the point where every single male character, besides the father in the beginning, is either incompetent, a joke, or comically evil. And when you look at Asian games, right? Like if they make a character to be, like, let's say a general. I mean, you can have like a general that's evil and maybe he's trying to be subversive or something, but he is competent because he's a general. Like you can't have a dumbass, a buffoon reaching to the position of general. It wouldn't make sense, right? So like they're writing the characters with that aspect in mind. Anyway, let's see what else is going down. Who else is streaming at this hour? Jeffy? Jeffy is streaming? Where is he? I want to raid him. Yeah, I need to click the live button. Okay. How the fuck do you spell his channel, man? Is it with an I? Fuck, I can't find it. Like before I started my stream, I noticed he was streaming the guy that has a crush on Vala Dark. The one that's like, you got lovely hair, my lady. You know that guy?
Adelin s-a născut prematur și la vârsta de 2 ani mama sa a înțeles că băiatul nu va putea merge.
Have a good night, chat.
Oh, is that what he's doing? Okay. We can't raid Arch because he just ended his stream. Let me see. There must be someone that we can raid. Well, shit. I guess there's no one, chat. I guess there's fucking no one that I want to endorse. Well, it is what it is. Hold on. I'll try one more time. No. Okay. Don't raid that soy boy? Why not? That would be funny. How can I raid Kirsche with 140 people? Like, usually when you raid, it's just like 10% of the audience that engages. So I'm going to send like 13 people to Kirsche. I'm pretty sure she's going to be emotionally impacted by this. Same with Razorfist, right? Anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate the super chats. And